President Donald Trump told Fox News in an interview that aired Tuesday night the United States doesn't have talented workers to fill jobs needed domestically, defending the H-1B skilled worker visa program. Pressed by Fox News' Laura Ingraham on whether his administration would reduce H-1B visas over concerns it would depress wages for American workers, Trump told Ingraham, "I agree, but you also do have to bring in talent." When the Fox host responded, "We have plenty of talented people here," Trump replied, "No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles." The president pointed to the September ICE raid of a Georgia Hyundai facility, which saw authorities arrest and deport hundreds of South Korean contractors over their immigration status, as evidence of the country's need for skilled foreign workers. In Georgia, they raided because they wanted illegal immigrants out. They had people from South Korea that made batteries all their life. You know, making batteries is very complicated. It's not an easy thing. Very dangerous, a lot of explosions, a lot of problems. They had like 500 or 600 people, early stages, to make batteries and to teach people how to do it. Well, they wanted them to get out of the country. You're going to need that, Laura. The president's comments come just 2 weeks after he told reporters traveling with him to South Korea that he was very much opposed to the raid carried out by federal officers as part of his administration's immigration crackdown at U.S. worksites. Trump signed an executive action in September to impose a $100,000 application fee for H-1B visas. The move marked the latest in a series of efforts from the administration to crack down on immigration and place sharp new limits on the types of foreigners allowed into the country. The H-1B visa is a work visa that's valid for 3 years and can be renewed for another 3 years. Economists have argued the program allows U.S. companies to maintain competitiveness and grow their business, creating more jobs in the U.S. In the first part of the Fox News interview that aired Monday, Trump took a swipe at the nation of France while defending the enrollment of Chinese students at universities in the U.S. "I actually think it's good to have outside countries," the president said when asked about enrolling Chinese nationals at American universities. "They're not the French, they're the Chinese. They spy on us, they steal our intellectual property," Ingraham responded. "Do you think the French are better?" Trump said. Ingraham replied, "Yeah." To which the president said, "I'm not so sure." News anchor Gregory Bovino, the top Border Patrol official leading the charge on the Trump administration's immigration crackdown in cities, along with his agents, are planning to leave Chicago as early as this week as they eye other locations to ramp up arrests, according to 3 U.S. officials familiar with the planning. Bovino has become the on-the-ground face of President Donald Trump's effort to surge federal law enforcement into blue states and cities, regardless of whether local officials want them there. First in Los Angeles, now in Chicago, where aggressive clashes with protesters have been at the core of ongoing litigation. Bovino and his officers are expected to head to Charlotte, North Carolina, then continue to New Orleans, according to 2 of the officials, who stressed plans are still being finalized. The Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office, which serves Charlotte, told CNN that neither its office nor Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police are involved in planning of federal operations and have not been in contact with government officials regarding the reported move. The Sheriff's Office has not been contacted by any Customs and Border Protection representatives regarding any potential operations, nor have we been involved in any planning or conversations, the Sheriff's Office said in a statement. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is expected to continue operations in Chicago. In a statement, Homeland Security spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin told CNN, "We aren't leaving Chicago," and cited a drop in street crime in the city since Operation Midway Blitz began. CBS News first reported Bovino planned to leave Chicago soon. The discussion of Bovino moving on from Chicago comes shortly after he was personally called out by a federal judge. U.S. District Court Judge Sarah Ellis was angered that Bovino initially said he had lobbed tear gas at a group of protesters only after being hit in the head with a rock,
but later acknowledged the assault against him came after his use of force. Defendant Bovino admitted that he lied, Ellis said in a hearing on November 6th, the same day she issued a preliminary injunction blocking the use of force against protesters and journalists, unless such force is objectively necessary to stop an immediate threat of the person causing serious bodily injury or death to another person. That order also requires agents to warn protesters at least twice before deploying tear gas and less lethal munitions like pepper balls. The Trump administration is appealing the injunction and asking for its enforcement to be delayed while an appeals court panel considers the case. The injunction from Judge Ellis came after Bovino sat for hours of videotaped testimony, clips of which were played in court. Those excerpts showed Bovino frequently butting heads with an attorney for the plaintiffs, arguing that protesters on the receiving end of riot control munitions were violent rioters and assaultive subjects. Bovino also denied tackling one protester, Scott Blackburn, saying the incident captured on camera did not count as a reportable use of force because he was in the process of arresting Blackburn. Ellis was not impressed with the hair-splitting. In one of the videos, defendant Bovino obviously attacks and tackles the declarant, Mr. Blackburn, to the ground, she said. Trump has previously floated New Orleans as a destination for his federal crackdown, saying in an Oval Office meeting this year that the administration was making a determination. Do we go to Chicago? Do we go to a place like New Orleans, where we have a great governor, Jeff Landry, who wants us to come in and straighten out a very nice section of this country that's become quite bad? While Bovino and his team's relocation is not yet final, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson celebrated the news Tuesday. Greg Bovino's legacy in Chicago is chaos, criminality, and terror. It is the grassroots resistance to Bovino that has forced them to retreat, Johnson added in a statement. Bovino did nothing to make our city safer. He will not be missed in Chicago. This has never been about improving immigration enforcement or public safety, a spokesperson for Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker said in a statement. Asked by CNN last month where he planned to go next, Bovino said any decision would be based on intelligence. We've got a great leadership team that we work for, that we look to for leadership, and that would be President Trump, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, and all of those folks. We pay attention to what they say, and we pay attention to what our intelligence says. We marry those up, and we hit it hard. The story has been updated with additional reporting.
President Donald Trump asked the Supreme Court to overturn a $5 million judgment that he sexually abused and defamed the writer E. Jean Carroll, calling her allegations facially implausible and politically motivated. The judgment, issued by a federal jury in 2023, concerned Carroll's claim that Trump raped her in a Manhattan department store in the 1990s, and then denied her account of rape, calling her a liar. Carroll also won an $83.3 million judgment in 2024 after a separate jury found Trump defamed her with an additional set of remarks about the same claims. In his filing to the Supreme Court, Trump said the district court erred with a, quote, series of indefensible evidentiary rulings, end quote, improperly admitting highly inflammatory propensity evidence against President Trump, including testimony from women other than Carroll who made additional claims of sexual misconduct against Trump. If Trump were to succeed in getting the Supreme Court to overturn the earlier judgment, it would jeopardize the latter, much larger judgment against the president. The votes of 4 justices will be needed for the Supreme Court to take the case. Last year, a panel of judges on the Second Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that the trial judge did not violate Trump's rights when he allowed Carroll to present evidence suggesting Trump had committed other sexual assaults. That evidence included Trump's comments on the infamous Access Hollywood tape, as well as testimony from 2 other women who accused Trump of sexual assault. And earlier this year, a separate panel of judges from the same appeals court upheld the $83.3 million judgment, rejecting the president's argument that he should have been protected by presidential immunity because he made those defamatory comments during his first term in office. The justices are likely to make a decision early next year on whether to grant review of the verdict. Josh Gerstein contributed to this report.